Hi everyone, it's Talena again. Let me just bouffant. Haven't done much with myself since my surgery, so please forgive lack of makeup and whatnot, but who cares really? So I would have done a 1 week follow-up video, but I had a complication from my surgery. So this video I'm going to try to make it short and just discuss my experiences with the surgery, and then I'm going to do another video after to discuss some other things. So I had my surgery on Tuesday, March 26th, so that was last week. Today is April 5th. It is now 10 days post-op. The day of the surgery went fine. There were no problems. Apparently my surgery went faster than they had scheduled for, so it was supposed to be like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I was done in just under 2. And there were no issues, no complications, and recovery went fine. Went up to the unit where I spent 1 night in hospital, and I was discharged the following day. Some advice for when you're discharged: before you get your IV taken out, I highly recommend that you ask them for the following: some IV Gravel and some IV pain meds, because the car ride home was torture, absolute torture. I got Gravel, but I did not ask for pain meds, and I really wish I had. Every bump in the road just shakes you inside, and it's very uncomfortable, and you're also very full of gas still from the surgery, because they have to fill your abdomen to basically make it like a little work cave for them so they can see what they're doing inside. They do deflate you afterwards, but there's still quite a bit of residual gas lingering inside your body. That does pass. So ride home was torture on the Wednesday. I got home. Unfortunately, we're discharged like at rush hour, which, oh my god. Anyway, pardon me. Anyway, came home and I just went straight to bed the Wednesday night. The surgeon had told me that it's not common to pass the gas in the first day after surgery. Usually it's the second day. And she was right, because Wednesday night when I had gone home and I was trying to sleep, I was so uncomfortable from this pressure. The pressure in your abdomen is unreal from the gas, and it just feels like it's pushing on everything, and everything's been cut and sewn back together, and it's upsetting, it's painful, it's all of that. And I'm wandering around the room and rocking back and forth, leaning against my dresser like a pregnant woman. And finally at about 2 in the morning I finally passed some gas, and I was so excited I yelled out loud in the middle of the night, "I farted!" And my husband was like, "Yay!" So every fart thereafter was a celebration, and it felt much better. And it, over the course of a couple of days, just the pressure and this feeling and of things being squished kind of went away. I don't know why I'm yawning all of a sudden. Another thing to also keep in mind is, because you have all this gas inside you, I found that my voice was weak. It was weak for 2 reasons. One, they put down an airway, so a trach tube in surgery, and that kind of racks your throat up a bit. And they also scope your esophagus and your stomach during surgery, and that just racks things up a bit. And then the air, because there's so much pressure, your diaphragm can't go, you can't take a deep breath. So you're doing a lot of like this when you're talking, and you can't talk loud. And I still find I'm doing it a little bit, and that might just be because deep breaths are still uncomfortable, because the new stomach is just right below, I don't know if you can tell, just right below your sternum now, and your diaphragm sits right there. So I sometimes find it's not that you're short of breath, you're just not breathing deeply. So that's kind of normal. So as the gas went away, the breathing gets easier. Some other things that you'll note when after surgery that's normal, the surgeon told me is normal, is that you may end up getting some pain when you swallow in your sternum area. That's normal, and also pain in the new stomach, because you feel every single thing that goes in there now. Like maybe before, and with your original stomach, if it was really empty and you took a sip of cold water, you'd feel it go in there, but it wasn't really painful because it's like a healed, full, intact, healthy stomach. Well, now cold water doesn't work so well for me. I need lukewarm or room temperature or warm fluids. It doesn't cause any like spasming or contracting. So I recommend test it out for yourself. You may find cold drinks are fine for you. I find they're a bit too much, and I prefer the room temperature or warm. So came home. So the day after you come home, you're allowed to start your full fluid diet. So for me, that would have been Thursday. So I started that. The schedule that they give you to get your fluids in is almost impossible to achieve. So do not feel bad if you're not getting in their recommended meals and snacks, plus the 4+ cups of just plain water they want you to do. It's literally impossible. I calculated it based on the amount you're allowed every 15 minutes with breaks between meals, quote unquote meals. You would need to be awake at least 18 hours to get it all in safely, and that's just inhumanly possible. And I discussed that with the dietitians, and they agreed that the best thing to do is get in your fluids first and foremost, and if you can pay and buy fluids that double down as a liquid and a protein, such as, so I've got some protein water here, and I'll talk about this in my next video up quick, why it's in a measuring cup. Protein water is great because it's water with protein, so you can double down with that and get your fluids and your protein in it. Sorry, my back is sore from sleeping on it because that seems to be the only position I can sleep. So Thursday was a bit rough going. I didn't get in a lot of the full fluids, so I bought Premier Protein, which is one they highly recommend. You can buy them at Costco. Pardon me, it's the best price, and the chocolate one is quite tasty. They might have other flavors, but I'm not like a vanilla fan of anything really, except ice cream. And you know, broths, thinned yogurt. The Richmond Metabolic Bariatric Center will give you a full list of everything that you should be taking in at the different stages of your post-op diet. So don't worry if I haven't given you everything. Follow through with your nutritionist, follow the plan they give you. Friday was a little bit better. I got a little bit more in. Saturday was even better, and I was maybe a bit gung-ho. I don't know if Saturday caused the problem that I'm going to tell you that I had. Saturday was also the first day that I started to get my vitamins in, because they told us don't sweat about getting your vitamins in right when you get home from surgery. Give yourself a couple of days and you'll be able to think to yourself, could I chew up a vitamin right now? Does it seem like I could palate it? Does it seem like I can tolerate it? And it was kind of interesting because by Saturday I woke up and I was like, I think I could tolerate chewing up a chewable vitamin right now. And I was able to get them in. So I was kind of on track with what they said there. So Saturday night, at nighttime, you have to take your iron with your vitamin C. And they recommended to me to take my iron at bedtime. Well, all of us. And it was the Palafer. It tastes like rusty nails with a cherry overcoat flavor. It's disgusting. I don't even know. Ugh. Anyway, it hurt my stomach and I wasn't feeling well after it. And I went to bed and I couldn't lay down. I couldn't lay flat. It hurt. So I had to sleep sitting up for a while. And then at some point during the night, I laid down and I was fine. And then Sunday I woke up and I wasn't feeling quite right. I was having some abdominal pain. And by 3 o'clock Sunday day, I'd only had 10% intake from what I had had Saturday. And what was happening was every time I just took a sip, like a small sip, it hurt going down, and when it got to my stomach, I was burping a lot, like excessively, even little sips, like burp, 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 burp. And I would get lower abdominal pain, then it would get referred to my lower back and mid back, and it was very, very painful. And it felt like if you've ever poured water over dry sand or dry rocks, and you see the bubbles coming up and you can see the water is like slowly percolating down. That's what it felt like inside my gut. And I phoned HealthLink BC nurse to bounce my thoughts and concerns off of her, and we both agreed it's best to go and get it checked out and make sure it's nothing bad. Be safe than sorry kind of mentality. So I went to my local hospital. It was Eagle Ridge Hospital. In hindsight, I should have just driven straight to Richmond because I ended up having to be transferred there. So at the hospital, they did a contrast CT scan and put in another IV. I don't know, like my arms look like I'm a heroin addict. All the bruises and IVs and needle pokes and failed attempts because I've been dehydrated as well. The contrast IV CT scan showed that I had a partial blockage in my small intestine, and I'll show you where it was. In that blue section where the new joint is made for the bypassing of the intestine. So they figured that it could have either been swelling, which makes sense. We're not allowed to take anti-inflammatories after. Or it could have been some minor swelling and then irritated by intake. So I had been able to get in quite a bit on Saturday. And I may have overdone it when I look back at my food diary, because I keep a food diary. And then the doctor said that sometimes some people's bowels after surgery, they get like lazy, and instead of doing like the pulsating contractions that it should to move things through, it'll just quiver, and then so stuff will just block up. So you throw in all of those things together and you kind of have a recipe for disaster. But because it was a partial blockage, they still had to treat it like a blockage, and I was basically NPO, or nothing by mouth, from dinner time Sunday. Monday morning, the transfer ambulance finally arrived at Eagle Ridge and took me to Richmond Hospital. That kind of sucked. It wasn't that bad of a ride because they gave me pain meds and Gravol. Better than the ride home from hospital. Holy Hannah. Get some pain meds and Gravol on board before you leave hospital after your surgery. I seriously, seriously recommend it before they take that IV out. So I go back and I'm at Richmond Hospital from Monday night until Wednesday. And because I started having small bowel movements Tuesday and Wednesday morning, they were feeling optimistic that the bowel rest, which is what the nothing by mouth does, helped it settle down and clear up on its own. And things were obviously passing through my system, and that I was also passing gas is an important thing. They always want to know about your gas and your poops when you're in hospital. Those are good things, important things to pass on to your nurse so they can document that. Very important. Came home Wednesday, and the surgeon just wanted me to stay on clear fluids up to and including today, which is Friday. So I'm still just having clear fluids, just to be on the safe side. So that's been my surgery experience. It's not to scare you. Some people have complications. I asked my surgeon, had she ever heard of someone with my complication? She said no, never. So I guess it's just one of those one-off things that can happen. But my word of advice is, when you are doing your diet and eating your food. The full fluid diet, so for example, I'll use that because that's where I'm at right now. You're allowed 1 ounce of fluid every 15 minutes, up to a half a cup. That will take you 1 hour to finish. After that hour, don't have anything else for a minimum of half an hour. This is what the nurse specialist with Richmond Metabolics discussed with me. That gives your stomach and your intestines at least half an hour to rest between your next snack or meal or just random water intake. I'm at this point, so I took half-hour rest at some points yesterday, but I'm going to kind of increase that to a 1 hour rest just because this experience was very scary for me and I don't want to go through something like this again. So I don't want to overload or overtax my system right now, but definitely half an hour rest. And when you get the schedule and you do the math, you'll notice there's only a half an hour break between meals and snacks once you calculate the time it takes you to eat each meal and snack. And I should have realized that that was a break, but it was never really verbally explained, so that might be something I bring up for them to definitely stress during orientations and stuff like that in education sessions. So that was my experience in hospital, and I'm gonna stop this video now, and I'm gonna do another one here in a minute about pre-op, like post-op, sorry, diet and things like that. Okay, thanks guys.